What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Down Once More. It is Christmas Eve as this pod is coming out. Last year, episode dropped on Christmas, had a mega holiday episode, did a movie review with Rayleigh, movie review with Brad, mashed them together. We had about an hour and a half of goodness and holiday joy and fun. Gonna be honest, that's not what this pod's going to be. I talked about last week's episode about maybe just taking the rest of the year off, but ultimately I had an idea for what I wanted to talk about this week, so we're going to get into that. I'm just not necessarily in the Christmas, the holiday spirit. Last week when I was recording the podcast on Tuesday night, so the night I had to get the pod out, I was robbed. Not 100% sure of the timeline. Basically, been dealing with some stuff over the past year. Was gone, got home on a Monday, and then Tuesday went to work, came home, a little bit scatterbrained, just a lot going on. Work stressful right now, end of the year, all sorts of fun stuff like that. I've got packages off the porch, mail, my hands were full, so I forgot to close the garage door when I came back into the house. Then the next morning, when I went out to go to work, I realized the garage door was open. I went to go put my backpack in my car and noticed cleaning cloth on the seat. Lo and behold, someone went into my car, rummaged through and stole. I had 4 pairs of sunglasses in my car, which I get it. It's excessive. One was prescription. Then my Shady Ray sunglasses guy had a couple different styles. Then my wife had a pair in there. All 4 pairs stolen. The one in the visor, or my prescription one, stolen. The one in the little push drop down, stolen. My wife's and my other ones that were in the glove box, stolen. So that was a very fun way to start my Wednesday morning, second day back at work. Nice fun shit show there. And when I got home Wednesday, my wife's like, when you were recording the podcast, I heard a car door close, and I thought it sounded close, like someone was in our driveway. So I went out and looked, and I didn't see anyone when I got there. So I'm like, that was weird. It just must have been loud. She's like, I wonder if that was your car door in the garage. So I'm glad she didn't see him, because what you would have been faced with that. My guess is it was kids walking down the street, saw the garage door open, went and grab stuff that they could use or grab quickly. So glad it wasn't worse. It could have been way worse. Just mildly inconvenienced, and kind of like the cherry on top of the shit show things have been for me lately. So that's why last week I was like, you know what? I might just take the rest of the month off. But so I'm opening up this joyous Christmas Eve episode with that story. I'm going to do a couple watch recap things at the beginning, and then it was actually a very big year for the podcast. And so I kind of want to go month by month, look at some of the fun highlights from that, our most viewed episodes, my favorite episode from the month. So if you're new to the podcast and you got through that sad sack of the first couple minutes, this might be a good tip for you. Oh, these are the episodes I can go back, check out, that I'm interested to see what all they've done, because this, my friends, on YouTube is our 200th podcast episode. Now, YouTube has a few extra ones because I was doing the weekly Love Island drops, and on audio, I combine them. So audio platforms, there's only episode 197. So we still got 3 more to go. But YouTube is episode 200. So surprise. Thank you for being along for the ride. Before I get into the fun pod stats, just a few watch recaps. I figured I'd give some updates on those since I've been doing the monthly, hey, here's what's new to streaming and theaters on the podcast. I watched this past weekend Wake Up Dead Man, the 3rd Knives Out film in Rian Johnson's Benoit Blanc series with Daniel Craig. I really enjoyed Wake Up Dead Man. I think as a movie, one of my favorites of the series, but as a Benoit Blanc mystery, probably lower on the list. The mystery component wasn't as engaging for me, but the kind of discourse around belief, religion, and the exceptional performance from Josh O'Connor were amazing, and even the cinematography and the use of light and everything in it I thought was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. It's on Netflix now if you want to check that out. On digital, The Running Man, the Glenn Powell starring remake of Stephen King's adaptation. Well, it was when Stephen King wrote under the pen name of Richard Bachman. There was a old movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. This one is apparently more true to Stephen King's novel. And I thought it was a fun action movie. The end, it kind of lost me a little bit with some of the choices they made, but overall, a really fun action movie. Glenn Powell's a fantastic action star. Coleman Domingo is fantastic in it as well. I really enjoyed it. Worth the couple hours that it took. I also got caught up on Has Been Hotel season 2, which features Patrick Stump of Fallout Boy as Abel in it. So nice, fun. We got Broadway. Now we got my kind of pop punk emo faves kind of merging. Really enjoyed that. I enjoyed season 2. There's a lot more going on in it than I felt like there was with season 1. And I am a pretty like casual enjoyer of it, but there's some fantastic songs in season 2 that I really enjoyed. Gravity by Jessica Vosk, who played Elphaba on Broadway, if I remember correctly, is a fantastic single they released from it. The one that stuck in my head constantly, the name sounds ridiculous, but it's called Piss, a love song. You just have to listen to it. Trust me, it's great. Alex Brightman is featured in that one as well. Really enjoyed this season. Kristen Borle's character, Vox, has a larger role. Jeremy Jordan's Lucifer is in it a little bit more as well. I really enjoyed this season. I enjoy the music for what it is. Is it the most complex music ever? No, but it is catchy. It'll get stuck in your head, which is the same as catchy. It is fun, and some of the songs have some real depth to them. More than anything from season 1 is just kind of a heartbreaking one with Jeremy Jordan and Eric Henningsen singing together. It's beautiful. Check out Has Been Hotel if you are a musical fan. Lots of fun Broadway stars in that. On the romantic drama front, my wife and I watched Regretting You, the newest Colleen Hoover movie adaptation. It was fine. Ultimately, a ridiculous premise of this whole story. And Dave Franco, there's some things I watch and I'm like, he's a good actor. And then there's times, especially in this one, I felt like he was not great. But Allison Williams, McKenna Grace, Dave Franco, fine. If you're looking for a romantic drama, it's good. It's not a big baller crier. It's got some sweet moments. I laughed a couple times in it. Good stuff. Stars, I don't go over stars on the What's New to Watch because they very rarely have many things of note that grab my attention. I do think they are home of one of my absolute favorite series of all time in Black Sails, but they started 3 weeks ago now, Spartacus House of Asher, kind of trying to bring back one of their most popular series, the Spartacus series, and taking a different take. What if Asher, who was in the original series, what if he goes to when he dies, because spoiler alert for a 10-year-old series, he dies in that. In this, he goes to the underworld and they send him back for like a different reality. What if this would have happened? I don't know how I feel about it yet. I just watched episode 4, which is the newest episode, last night. That one was maybe my favorite of the season so far. It's not grabbing me like the original Spartacus series did. I don't think it has as many compelling characters that you can kind of sink your teeth into. And the action and the choreography doesn't seem as visceral and raw and fast-paced and kind of frenetic as I feel like the original series and seasons did. So I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet, but I'm going to keep watching it, give it a shot. It's that over-the-top gore, violence, sex, kind of back when it tried to do like 300 style, but on a much lower budget. And I really enjoyed the original series, and I think there were 5 seasons total, maybe 4. I enjoyed it. And so I like that we're kind of going in that world again. There's just something that's not quite clicking for me. I also started Next Level Baker. Gordon Ramsay's cooking competition show, Next Level Chef, was one that I got hooked on, one of the newer cooking competitions. This one is essentially the same thing, but it's baking and it's holiday themed. So he pulls in some high level bakers to help with it as well. I've been enjoying it, not that deep into it, but it's a fun cooking competition series with you got the different concept of the different levels. The bottom level, the basement, has really garbage materials to cook with, utensils, things at your disposal. Medium's pretty good, and top tier is all hex clad stuff because Gordon Ramsay. So been enjoying that. That's kind of my watch recap. Now let's get into a year of podcast review. This was the first full year that Rayleigh wasn't featured in any episodes. Wish her the best. Got some stuff going on. I haven't even talked to her much this year. Her loss on the pod is felt a little bit because I always enjoy having someone to riff back and forth. And I've really enjoyed this year being able to pull Brad in more. And then at the end of the year, Sage and Amy and Ella, having some newer guests. I really enjoyed being able to do that. And I hope to do more of that going into 2026. But in January, the pod, we did 5 episodes in January. It included like the what to watch one that we've been doing. My initial thoughts, it was when I first saw Better Man, the Robbie Williams biopic, and initially fell in love with it. I saw it as a mystery movie at my theater, so I gave my initial thoughts on that. I did my review of Rent in Concert live that I saw with a full orchestra, and I really enjoyed. And then Brad joined me on the pod, and we did a Kneecap review of the Irish rap group Kneecap, their kind of biopic featuring themselves. A lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out, check out that movie. And then also, I did a kind of ranking draft, whatever you want to call it. I talked about what, for me, are the best Act 1 finales in musicals. And that was actually our most viewed episode of the month. It had 244 views. And I think that was actually my favorite episode of the month. That one or Kneecap with Brad. We had a lot of fun during that review. But I really enjoy talking about songs that grab me, hook me, and why they do that. You'll see that as a trend kind of throughout the months as we go. And so that episode, one of my favorites, kicking off the year. February just had 4 episodes, but in it I reviewed the Moulin Rouge national tour, which the actor who played Christian just completed a run on Broadway as Christian as well, so saw some amazing talent there. I actually went to go see it twice. It was so good. I reviewed Captain America Brave New World, and then Brad joined the pod and we talked about In the Heights and reviewed that as well. Lin-Manuel Miranda's one of his first musicals that he wrote and kind of got him the first kind of critical acclaim. The video with the most views was the Moulin Rouge tour review. The tour reviews go crazy. That one had a little over, it had 627 views. But I think my favorite was getting to talk In the Heights with Brad. We've had conversations like offline, just in general, about Lin-Manuel Miranda's work. Brad wasn't familiar with In the Heights. I had introduced him to it a couple years ago, and then him finally watching the movie and us getting to talk about it together was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. March just had 4 episodes as well, but this featured my Beetlejuice Broadway tour review and my preview of what was coming up on my next season pass at my local lead theater, the 25-26 season preview, so highlighting what shows were coming up. And then I did a review, kind of a mishmash of the Annie national tour that I saw, and then the new original musical Odessa that premiered on Hulu. The video with the most views was by far the Beetlejuice tour review at 705 views. It picked up in the last few months when Justin Collette, who was on the national tour and who I think was one of the best performers I have ever gotten to see live, when he's featured in the Beetlejuice run on Broadway that's still running right now. And my favorite episode was the Beetlejuice one. It was one I went into with very little familiarity, and the fourth wall breaking, the humor, the music, I fell in love with it. This is one, though, I've talked about it on here at length before. Act 1 is elite. Act 2 kind of falls off a little bit for me. It's got some good numbers, but Act 1's where all the bangers are, in my opinion. April got a little bit nuts with The Last of Us Season 2 starting, and we did 8 episodes on the pod in April. I did 2 top 20 ratings. I did top 20 Broadway songs that hit you in the feels, and top 20 musical duets. And Brad also joined the pod that month, and we reviewed Jesus Christ Superstar, him as the New Testament Biblical Studies doctorate candidate, and me as just someone who enjoys musicals and was raised super religious. The video with the most views was The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2 review at 441 views. My favorite was the top 20 Broadway songs that hit you in the feels. That's the genre of music I tend to gravitate towards and really enjoy talking about. And the Jesus Christ Superstar review. We had a lot of fun with that, talking about the different iterations of Jesus Christ Superstar, Andrew Lloyd Webber's great work, and just the kind of crazy movie that just feels like you are in the 70s and 80s, because that's when it took place. Like, it just felt like such a snapshot of that time period as well. May, The Last of Us Season 2 reviews continued. We had 8 podcast episodes in May as well. I reviewed the Hamilton tour. I saw it for the 4th time. So reviewed Hamilton. I did a Best Villains Songs draft with Brad. We had the 150th episode of the podcast, and Brad joined and we talked about the Next to Normal Pro Shot on PBS. So this was the censored version, with their nice dubbing changing sucks to stinks. But we talked about it. The video with the most views was The Last of Us Season 2 finale. It has 1,289 views as of right now, followed closely by the Next to Normal Pro Shot, which has 1,146 views. So a couple thousand view episodes that month. My favorite was the Villain Songs draft. I had a lot of fun with that. Or Next to Normal. Next to Normal is a musical that is so important to me, and it's been one of my favorite for a few years now since I was introduced to it. And so getting to introduce Brad to it and getting him to watch and listen and experience that musical for the first time and see him fall in love with it as well was very special for me and amazing, and I really enjoyed that. So that one is one of my favorites of the month as well. June had 9 episodes in it. Even though The Last of Us Season 2 was over, Love Island USA started back up, and this is when I started becoming a glutton for punishment and doing Love Island recaps. Brad joined and we talked about the In Pieces concert at Joe Pub's, the pro shot they did of that, In Pieces by Joy Contreras, one of my favorite musicals. I'm kind of plagued. Last week's episode was a bit of a dud. I was not feeling it, and I'm like, I need to try to come up with a clever name for this, and it sucks. I talked about my Apple Music replay, and I talk about In Pieces extensively because it was one of my most listened to albums. Joy Contreras, one of my most listened to artists. And multiple songs from the soundtrack, the Highlights album, were in my most recent list. But the title of the episode sucks, has not got much traction, but check that out. We'll get to that in December. But In Pieces concert review, amazing, really enjoyed it. And then Brad also joined and we reviewed A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan biopic. The episode with the most views was the Love Island episode 24 recap. It has 241 views. But my favorite was talking about In Pieces with Brad. Like I said, it's a musical I fell in love with over this past year after Brad had introduced me to it. And so getting to talk that, it was actually shared by Joy Contreras and like pointed out things from the review. So it feels like they actually watched the episode. And so that is awesome and was very special and a highlight. July had 13 episodes because I was a glutton for punishment this month and did nightly recaps of Love Island. I'm like, I'm going to try to capture the magic. It did work out. The most view episode is when I had to address the Nicolandria fans, Alondria and Nick, and their relationship. That episode, the episode 32 recap, has 1,254 views. So one of the most viewed episodes of the pod ever. In addition to the Love Island recaps, Brad joined and we talked about the last 5 years. So we revisited that review. I'd reviewed it with Rayleigh back in the day. Brad had never fully watched it before, and so I wanted him to watch it. It's one of my favorite musicals. We talked about it. We got on the Jamie hate train a little bit, but I still really enjoy the musical, even though Jamie's a little bit of a piece of shit. I talked about what musicals were streaming and did a tier list of Epic the Musical. Jorge Rivera Herranz I'm actually wearing Epic merch right now. His concept albums that I was introduced to this year, thanks to Sage, actually. And we talked about it at length, and I kind of did my tier list of the different sagas, the 9 sagas, where I think they fell and why. So if you're a fan of Epic, or you're a fan of new musicals, or even Homer's Odyssey, check out that episode and get my initial thoughts on that. And Brad also joined and we reviewed Sinners, the Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler musical movie. Not technically billed as a musical, but music is definitely at the heart and soul of this movie. And we had a good time talking about that. A very special movie we really enjoyed. In August, just back to normal episode numbers. We have 4 episodes. Had a couple random mini reviews. I gave a list like kind of what I think are the best fake songs in movies and TV, and then reviewed the Frozen national kind of tour and pro shot that's on Disney Plus. Episode with the most views, the Frozen tour, 119. My favorite though was talking about the best fake songs. Goofy Movie gets some shout outs on there. Can't go wrong with some Powerline, and so I had a lot of fun with that episode. September was also a month with 4 episodes. We had a couple random mini reviews I talked about. Brad joined. We reviewed Better Man a little more in depth and I got to introduce him to this movie and Robbie Williams, and just both of us loved it, talked about it in depth, and just kind of the story of Robbie Williams and the unique take on a biopic from Michael Gracie as well. And then I also did talking about the I Want songs in musicals, kind of exploring those themes and what some of my favorite I Want songs are. Most views was the Exploring I Want songs episode, as 275. My favorite was either the I Want songs one or the Better Man review with Brad. 2 things are very near and dear to my heart. October had 5 episodes in it. Did a draft with Sage of favorite cover-to-cover musical albums. I reviewed the Tina Turner musical national tour. I reviewed the Meatloaf starring musical horror slasher movie Stage Fright. Had Amy on as a guest, so this was Sage and Amy's first months as guest. I guess technically Amy's only one so far. Amy, we talked some behind the scenes in theaters, what being a theater kid growing up was like, being in productions, getting to see it from that different lens. Had a lot of fun chatting that, and introduced the new segment about what's one thing you would change about the podcast, Roast the Pod with guests. Episode with the most views was the Tina Tour one. It has 120 views. My favorite were the ones with Sage and Amy. It's hard to pick between the two. Just enjoy having people on and riffing something different, mixing it up, having some conversations, finding out some people's passions and what they enjoy about different things in this world as well. It's always fun to find someone with a shared love or passion, right? November, 5 episodes as well. Sage and I did a draft of favorite like musical dream roles, if we could play it. I did a random mini where I talked about Predator, Call of Duty, some other random musical news. A lot going on in that one. Gave my initial thoughts of Wicked for Good. And Brad joined and we reviewed the Team Star Kid musical Black Friday, which quickly burrowed itself in my brain. It was one of my most listened and was my most listened to album in November. Most views was the Wicked for Good initial thoughts. It's in about 188 views. And my favorite was the musical Dream Rolls draft with Sage. Had a lot of fun with that one. And then we are in December right now. This right here is the 4th episode of December. We will finish up with 5 episodes on next week when I give a preview of what's coming to streaming, theaters, all that fun stuff in January to close out the month. A nice way to ring in New Year's Eve, right? What you can watch the upcoming month. But so far this month, I had Ella on from Diary of a Swiftie Pod. We kind of talked about how their pod got started, love of kind of what being in the fandom's like, my concerns with Swifties, and love, why they scare me. And then I did an Apple Music replay, like what I've been watching, what I listened to over the past year. And that's the one I talked about earlier. Hate the name. I almost changed it, but I'm like, I am exhausted. It's too late. I can't redo graphics. I hate it. Because I was just going to call it an Epic 25 replay. Because Epic the Musical, one of my top ones, but In Pieces was so close there. And I'm like, I need to throw that in too. So I'm like, an Epic 25 replay In Pieces. So like sometimes it's like, it's a story of woe in 4 parts. And I'm like, it's an Epic 25 replay In Pieces. It doesn't work. If you're reading it, you're like, what the fuck am I looking at? It doesn't make sense. Stupid title of episode. There is still a chance I will go back and change it. But I think that's the most underrated one. Go back, check that out. But episode with the most views was me going over what's new to watch in December, sitting at 97 right now. My favorite was having Ella on talking about Diary of a Swiftie and just passions in general. I always enjoy hearing someone talk about something they are very passionate about, and you can tell that and feel that passion come in, and it makes you a little bit more interested too. Hopefully that's what I've done with some people and musicals in this podcast, right? And my underrated pick for the month is the Apple Music Replay one. So go watch that. Go watch last week's episode and enjoy it. Couple of fun little quirky notes as well. My Love Island Viva Las Villa review, that recap episode, has had 150 views in the past month. I don't know why. This season has been over for 4 months now, and that wasn't a particularly like game-changing episode. So I don't know. That episode's been taken off over the past month. Don't know why, but it is. We did 73 episodes of the podcast so far. This is 73. There will be 74 episodes that we released in 2025. We had a huge jump in subscribers. We started the year out at 89. We hit 100 subscribers on April 28th. And then we jumped up. We're currently at 150 subscribers, which is not much. I get it, but I appreciate all of you who are here. And that is huge number to me. Like, my goal has been to hit 100 for a while. The fact that we hit 100 early on in the year, and then we've grown, added another like 50 on top of that in just the past 7 months-ish, is awesome. And appreciate all of you new fans who have joined. Hopefully I think like most, we had some jump on during The Last of Us and then some jump on during Love Island. And so that's when we've seen the peaks. And the fact that you stayed subscribed, I appreciate it. And hopefully that means you found something you enjoy here. You can feel my passion. We have guests on their passion too. Hopefully you enjoy it. And those are all the fun kind of tidbits and notes I have. It's a mini episode. I wanted to still put something out. I think part of it's just because I'm stubborn too. This is the 3rd year of the podcast. I've not missed a week of episodes. It was close a couple weeks ago. There's been some stuff going on that it was close. I almost missed an episode. Did have an episode drop. It didn't drop at midnight. It dropped at 12:30. So apologies for that, but that's when I got done editing. And so it has been a whirlwind of a year. I've talked about it a little bit on here without going into too many details. The last 2 years have been some of the hardest of my life, just on personal level, career level, things like that. It has been rough. I have still wanted to keep doing this, even though it would be easy to stop, like I said, partially because I'm a sucker. I like seeing the growth. I like interacting with people when people tell me that they've listened, they enjoyed it, want to have some kind of conversations about it. That makes me feel great and is something really special to me. And also, musicals are something I'm passionate about. Musicals, music in general, movies. There's things that I enjoy, and I think it is very important, especially when you've got chaos and things around you that are really hard and you just kind of want to give up, to still lean into and find those things to cling on to that you enjoy and that can bring you energy and help you feel something. I think that is very important. That's what musicals do to me. That's what being able to talk about them, and hopefully some of my passion comes through. I'm not always the most eloquent. I'm not the most engaging all the time. I know that. So those of you who stuck with me, are here with the pod, subscribing through changes, through the kind of chaos and randomness that it's been, I appreciate it. Thank you all. Love you all. We'll see you next week for a preview of what's coming into streaming in theaters in January. And then hopefully we'll see you all in 2026 for another great year and hopefully some exciting things that I do not have planned at all for the podcast. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a happy holiday season. And don't forget to go down once more. Later.